Hey guys, welcome to your next video. It's Mr. Browse. This one is on objective 7.6G. Believe it or not, that is actually a 6 and that's a G. So it's solving part-to-part problems in circle graphs. The essential question is, how do I solve part-to-part problems? So I want you to go ahead and write the question down, draw this graph, and then write the question itself down here as well. If you need to pause the video to do that, go ahead and do so. So this question says the circle graph shows how Tremaine divided his time on the computer last week. Hopefully this does not look like the way you divide time on your computer as well, because it looks like Tremaine spends a lot of time on social media, a lot of time on games, and 20% of his time on homework, 5% on research, and 10% on other. So the question itself says Tremaine used the computer for a total of 30 hours. So I want you to underline that. How many more hours, square that in, or rectangle, put a rectangle around more. How many more hours did Tremaine use his computer to play video games or play games than do research? So you see more, so you're going to have to find the difference, okay? So what we have to do first is we're going to write down the formula to find how to convert this percent to the amount of hours that we actually need. So that's going to be part over whole equals percent over 100. So we have to find games and research, both of those, okay? So games is 25% of his time, research was 5%. So let's go ahead and try to do the games first. So the games was 25% of his time. He used his computer for a total of 30 hours last week. So we're going to have to figure out how many hours he actually spent playing games. So we're going to set up a proportion here. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So our part and our whole is what we're going to fill out first. So the whole would be the entire amount, right? It says total. That's going to be your whole, 30 hours. The part is the one we actually don't know. That's what we have to figure out. We're trying to figure out what part of the 30 hours was he actually playing games. So we're going to put the variable x there. And then the percent will always go over 100. In this case, it's 25%. So we're going to put 25 over 100. Now let's do the baseball bat and baseball method. So you cross multiply and then divide by 100. So multiply 30 and 25. And when you do that, it should get you 750. And now we have to divide that by the 100. So 100 goes into 757 times. We have to add a 0, and we add a 0, we add a decimal. Bring this down, and it goes into 500 5 times. So he played games for 7.5 hours. We're going to abbreviate hours, HRS, okay? So 7.5 hours for games that week. Now I want to figure out how long he did, or how many hours he did research, how many hours he used for research. So again, set up the exact same proportion, okay? With just one number will change here. So our total hours still going to be the same. He still spent 30 hours on the computer last week. We still don't know the part. We do know that the percent is 5%, and that's going to be out of 100%. So again, cross multiply and divide. So we do 30 times 5. And 30 times 5 come out to 150. Okay, and now we divide that 150 by 100. Oh, added one too many zeros, sorry. So 100 goes into 150 one time. And we add a decimal and a 0, bring that 0 down, and 0.5, 1.5. So now it said how many more hours, okay? So you'll see in the answer choices, you'll see Both of them are here, 7.5 and 1.5. So a lot of us will find one of those two answers and be like, boom, we're done. But it says how many more hours. So we actually have to find the difference, which means we have to subtract. So if the games was 7.5 and the research was 1.5, we are going to subtract. So when we subtract, we line up the decimals, bring the decimal down, and 7 minus 1 is 6. So it is 6 hours. That's all we got for you guys.